Hello, and welcome to day three of the Calm Cash Reset. I finally figured out how to say that without stumbling on my words. It only took 3 days. I need to stop maybe with the alliteration in these names because, they're tongue twisters when they look good on paper or on pixels, but out of the mouth, totally different story. So, yesterday we looked at your offers, we looked at pricing, but we did not get to the messaging. So we're going to pick up from there. And then also we are going to look at building out the next 30 days. So let us get right into it because I want to spend the majority of the time going through the workshopy bits, but then I also want to save hopefully at least 15 minutes for the Q&A. So I want to be able to answer specific questions or questions sprinkled throughout. Either way is totally fine. So day three, we are closing the leaks that we talked about over the last 2 days, especially yesterday with all my boat metaphors. I promise to like zip it with the boat metaphors today. We're going to strengthen your stabilizer, that's what I'm going to call the thing that we're going to be focusing on. And then we're going to simplify the next 30 days. So I don't love giving people all of this information and all of these things to think about, and then being like, there you go. Good luck. See ya. Have fun with that. I want to make sure that, like, at least for the next 30 days, you have some concrete action steps that you can take into your business starting immediately. I also am not like one to be like, do this 30 days from now. Like, no, do it now. Start integrating right away. Okay. So let's get back to where we left off yesterday with messaging. So before we start building, we still have to tighten just a few things. So, like I said, yesterday we covered pricing and offers. Didn't quite get to the messaging part, but we're going to finish that first because when your message is misaligned, it's a sinking ship. Sorry, I was like, I couldn't stop myself. I was like, should she say it? Should she say it? No. Yes. This is how it starts, right? And then it snowballs from there. We can go with Midwestern snow. Messaging mismatches happen when you're talking about things that are interesting, but not necessarily converting. And when you're selling transformation, which I do always talk about, like, what is the transformation? What's the one problem you solve? What is the outcome? Like, those kinds of things are all different ways of saying basically the same thing. I talk a lot about that. But it's when you're selling that, but not marketing tactics and like things that actually people like can actually grab onto, if that makes sense. And it can also happen when your best customers don't recognize themselves in your own marketing and your own messaging. So we always want to think about like who are the people that are actually buying. I'll say this again later, but um, we're not talking about ideal avatars or, ideal customer profiles is said a few different ways out in the marketing world. That's not what we're talking about today. We are talking about real people that buy because that is real world data that we need to take into consideration and use as our data. And then if the messaging isn't landing with people, if it doesn't reflect the real buying trigger in these real clients that we're talking about, sales will always feel harder than it should. And also, I want to emphasize, I cannot underscore this enough, is that attention does not equal revenue. So if you're thinking like social media, for example, there's the vanity metrics, which are, likes, shares, all of the comments, like all of those things are the feel good numbers of like, oh, yes, I'm getting views. That's great. And this can translate to email open rates. I don't care what your channel is. I'm picking on social media just because it's top of mind. All of those are great. You do need those things, but it does not equal sales. And so, yes, we do need a certain number of followers and likes and views and reach and all of that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that just because someone has stopped scrolling to watch your video for however long, does not necessarily mean that they're going to buy. So you can get engagement, compliments, and even feedback like, this is so helpful, thank you. But if it doesn't convert it and it doesn't reflect the exact tension, underscore tension, that your buyer feels, it won't convert reliably. The calm cash aspect of this requires more predictable resonance, and so we need to find what that resonance is. So let's dive right into the exercise. Exercise one. Think about the last three clients, the last three customers, whichever phrase you use. I know different people use different things. Think about the last three people that paid you for your services. And I can put this in the chat. Write down what problem did they say out loud or message you, or t what do you know about them, the problem that they're having? What exact words did they use? And what made them say yes? While you're writing, and I just keep talking. This is not, again, this is not about your ideal avatar. These are actual buyers because these patterns live in reality, not just worksheets. And if you can, look for the overlap because that's where we're going to find the anchor message. Oh, unintended boat reference. Okay, just in the interest of time, I'm just going to move forward. Feel free to continue writing if you are. All right. And so I want to talk about where these leaks might be hiding. There's tension. Again, we're talking about tension a little bit more. But there's also, maybe in this case, it's more appropriate to say a discrepancy or, again, a mismatch, because we have a tendency as business owners, and because often our businesses are very personal and come from some sort of experience we have overcome ourselves, we tend to promote what excites us. So, like me, I could talk about nerdy brain science stuff like all the time, like, but that's not gonna sell my coaching per se, right? If I'm talking about trying to help people with their like growing their business through marketing, right? Like things that will actually get people to buy are the things that are relief to them, not what's exciting to me. So I can like real world yeah, sort of real world example. So I could like talk all day about your reticular activating system and how what you see, what you think dictates what you see in the world, right? If you think everyone's a misogynist, then you're gonna have confirmation bias, which is another brain phenomenon, psychological phenomenon. Then you're gonna find the data in the real world and the examples to back that up. Um, if, however, you think about um, I'm trying to use this to come up with in a business sense. Like if you think sales is hard, you are going to find evidence that sales is difficult and that people don't buy and this, that, and the other thing. If, however, you can train your brain to think differently. You will see the world differently. Anyways, all of that, see, like I get excited about it and I won't shut up about it. But that's not necessarily what people like, no one's gonna buy that. Like no one, I've tried. No one has bought that from me, at least from me. But what people do buy is a content strategy is um like let's find the leaks in your business. Let's figure out how to double your revenue in the next 90 days. Those are very strong relievers, I guess, in in the sense. So I'm hoping that that is resonating. So it's like excitement draws interest, but the relief, if you're selling the relief, that drives decisions, and that gets people to pull out their wallet, digital or otherwise, and actually hand it over to you. Um, former mentor, has a saying that if they are not, someone should either be, you should either be on someone's vision board or you should be on their credit card statement. And I absolutely love that. Totally subscribe to that, is that you should try to be, find those magic words. So when I had you work on that exercise just now, it's like, what are the exact words did they use? I didn't want to interrupt while you were writing, but I call those the magic words. Like it's almost like use their words against them. And I don't mean that in like a negative, like manipulative way. I mean that in a speak their language, because that is what's going to be like, oh yeah, she's my gal. Yeah, I need her. I don't need XYZ guru big person, right? Like someone that's like light years ahead of all of us, right? Like Oprah, let's just say Oprah. Like I don't need Oprah to be my life coach, if she even did that. I need someone that's like one or two steps ahead of me. And so again, talking about that tension is that when your income feels unpredictable, just pause and you can go through any of these exercises again and check whether your messaging is future focused or if it's tension focused. Like what's the tension right now? We want to sell people on the idea of the future, but it has to solve an immediate problem right now that will get them to that future. I'm hoping that's making sense. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. Pardon me. Okay. Prompt number two, exercise number two. Let's get into it. Okay. Get the notebooks out, get your handy dandy writing utensil out or notepad. Rewrite this sentence. And I will put that in the chat. Bloop. I help people blank. Rewrite it so that it is reflective of the problem that they actually say out loud. So if your original sentence sounds polished, it sounds like marketing speak, which I'm prone to to do. It sounds cute, but is it clear? So if it sounds polished but it's vague, that's probably where you're having your messaging leak. We want to make sure we're getting into specificity. Not my favorite word to say out loud, but specificity. Yep. Nope. We got it right the first time. Should have stopped there. Would you care to share?
Sure. So I have, I help people tap into their intuition and let go of past trauma.
Oh, I love that. Do you want to get more specific as far as trauma or intuition?
Um,
Because those are pretty broad.
I know. And, but yeah, those were the words that came up for the last one. So
Mhm.
there was someone who came to me who was looking for support around some PTSD around an issue that they were
Mhm.
having.
Mhm.
And, and yeah, and finally being able to let go of that so that it was no longer holding on and controlling them,
Mm.
letting go of those emotional attachments that were happening.
Okay.
Um, Yeah. So I do hear what you're saying there,
Mhm.
because trauma is a very large based word,
Yeah,
and
and there's
that
also
was a
like,
quick note.
yeah, I've also heard people talk about capital T trauma and like lowercase trauma,
Mm-hmm.
meaning like trauma like PTSD from, having gone served in the military, right? PTSD from, being sexually
Yes.
assaulted. Um, and then there's also the compounding traumas that are maybe smaller, where someone's gaslighting you all the time. That can
Right.
turn into capital T trauma. Um, and it can be both, and I'm not necessarily trying to like put you in a direction. I want you to feel that out yourself. But um, I would say I would just say slash ask, is there a reoccurring issue or situation that you're helping people through in the relation of trauma?
Yeah. So this one was the first time that she was PTSD, former police. Was she former or actually current police
Mm.
officer? There was a police situation, is what I
Yeah.
remember.
Mhm.
But I have had a person who was sexually abused
Mm.
as a child,
Mm.
who had seen me. And then I've had a number of women who are in the process of exiting out, who are dealing with the emotional toxicity and abuse of,
Mm.
um, actually not even always the marriage, but sometimes, well, that and a parent figure. Like it's
Yeah.
showing up in a repeat pattern
Yeah.
in their life. Mm-hmm.
I wonder, like hearing you talk through that, I wonder if that emotional toxicity,
Mm-hmm.
I want that stood out to me as
Yes.
a phrase, because
Mm-hmm.
one, it isn't the word triggered, because I feel like that has become played out in a way, like everything's a trigger. Um,
Mm. Yeah.
or everything can be a trigger, but I feel like we say it so often now that it's starting to lose its meaning, or it's starting to lose its power. But
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that emotional toxicity, because that is, I feel like a common thread through any of those traumas.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think your cat agrees.
My sound is on musicians and it picks up every background noise now.
Oh, I kind of love that
So that
though.
I can you can hear me better. It also unfortunately means you can hear every noise the cat
Okay,
makes.
the kitties have a voice in 2026. That's all right. I love that. Is that helpful?
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. Yay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I want to talk about what your calm cash plan is not. We're moving on to the plan portion. Hooray. Okay, it is not, and I emphasize NOT, it is not a new offer. It is not a rebrand. I am so prone to do that with my own shit. It's like, oh, let's go play with this thing. It is not a launch calendar. Also, a safety net for myself. I'm like, oh, let's create a whole plan. No, it is also not any kind of reinvention. You are not Madonna. Like none of us are Madonna, right? God bless her. Like I love her. Like she has reinvented herself 16 ways, sideways, whatever the phrase is, but none of that creates stability. Stability is calm. It is not drama. It is just a mirror of a lake, like no waves. So we're gonna double down on what works. We're not gonna add more. Okay? No more, not adding. We can tweak. These are tweaks, not dramatic changes. So I want us to identify, I talked about our stabilizer at the very beginning. And what I mean by a stabilizer is your revenue source. We're gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick one, which can be scary for some people because, again, just like we were talking about yesterday and outlining all the different offers that we might have, those those can feel safe. They can feel like all these things we've lined up surrounding ourselves of like, look at all these things, like Ariel in The Little Mermaid. Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you find my collection complete? Anyways, but your revenue stabilizer is the revenue source that is three things. It is something that is repeatable. So you have some sort of process. It is something that closes cleanly. Again with the alliteration. It is just it's three-step process as an example. It can have more steps than that, but we like threes. Um, book a call, like fill out an application, something like that. Hop on the call, and then, get a proposal. That's a template, by the way. I'm skipping ahead. Um, and then then we get started, right? Or it's apply, call, have the intro onboarding session. One, two, three. Easy peasy, right? We like simplicity. And the third thing, so the first one was repeat, second is closes cleanly. Third one is that it feels aligned. And we're going to talk about values at the end. And that's the part that I really want to make sure that we're aligned on. And so from day one, if you can think back to that original list of like, what money have you gotten from any source in the past 90 days? What is something that showed up more than once? That's probably your stabilizer. If you want to look at your offers from yesterday too, if you want to look at that list, that's probably even more helpful of, what is the stabilizer? What is the thing that repeats, that closes cleanly and feels aligned? And that's what we're going to build around for the next 30 days. So I want you to choose one of these three things. We're going to focus on either your pricing for the next 30 days, we're going to focus on your offers over the next 30 days, or we're going to focus on your messaging over the next 30 days. One of those three, not all three, not two, one, one. And I know that can be a challenge because, again, as an example, I'm always like, let's just change all of it. But when you do that, you have no control. So if you want to get, think about the scientific method, you have a control that is like your thing that is just how it is in its normal state. And then you have like hypothesis A, where you change one thing, and then you have hypothesis B. You change one thing that's different from the first thing, and then you have a third or however many, and you only change one thing. And you compare it against the control, and then you know what is actually affecting the outcome. If you change more than one thing, this is what kills me about, honestly, email A/B testing and email marketing is that like you only get one shot per email. And if you're only sending one email per week, it's like, I don't have 52 weeks to wait to test 52 different things, one per week. Like I want to test them all. But when you do that, you don't have clean data and you really are you're just shooting in the dark and you're taking guesses. So it's, anyways, all of that is to say, we're picking one thing, folks. Because if you try to fix everything, you destabilize even more. And then again, you're just in this cycle. Um, Calm comes out of focus. And so we're gonna focus. All right. So for the next 30 days, we're picking one thing, and I'm gonna put this in the chat as well. You will either prioritize your stabilizer, you will tighten your primary leak, and you will stop whatever the distracting activity might be. So you take a couple minutes to think about what these could be. And it's not improve my marketing. That is not one of the answers. It's more like I'm going to talk only about this core problem. I am only going to sell this one offer for 30 days. I am going to I am going to remove a confusing option. Remember my toothpaste analogy, my toothpaste story from yesterday? So like if I could pick between Colgate and Crest, like, is that a toothpaste brand? Great. You start throwing in a bazillion other Arm& Hammer, I don't know, a whole bunch of other options. Trader Joe's is the one I have right now. Um, Yeah, remove the confusing options, limit the options. And then also another option is it's more like clarifying the price.
I'm sorry, I already forgot what the first two options were because there was which offer it was, but you said not marketing.
Yes,
Uh,
it's not just like I'm gonna improve my marketing. Like that's too generic. So it's like I'm gonna
it's
talk
the
about
messaging.
yeah, it's like I'm gonna talk about this one core problem and that's
Gotcha.
it. So it's still marketing, but you're gonna focus on like that one core problem, not just marketing in general. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And on that, as I was putting this together, I was like, oh, I could go on a whole tangent about how to create content and like, because like a lot of times people I worked with have said that like, there's so much angst and fear and loss aversion is what it really ends up being around choosing one thing. Um, and I want to talk about that just a little bit because it's so rampant in the conversations that I have in that like picking one offer. Like let's pick on-demand coaching. So like you're just gonna I call it for me, I call it quick win coaching, where it's like, great, we're gonna get on 1 hour long session and it's like a nice little try before you buy, a whole package of some sort or program. And let's say I'm gonna focus on that for the next 30 days and it's the only thing I'm gonna sell. Well, that makes me even feel angsty because I'm like, well, I got Growth Squad, I've got Inner Circle, my, one-on-one coaching, I've got all these things, I've got all these amazing things that I want to tell the world about. Like, how am I supposed to only tell people about one thing? I promise you, when you do that, that people will buy more readily because we are inundated with something like 36,000 different bits of information from the media. And like the media can be whatever you want, like social media, newspapers, advertisements down this, like when you're on the street, billboards, all of that. It's something like 36,000 per day. Like that is a lot coming at us. We as solopreneurs and small business owners with small teams don't have the marketing budgets of a Nike or any large corporation, right? So we don't have that mass media ability to like push out our messaging. And we also have very limited time in a day. So we have to focus. We have to repeat ourselves frequently. And so that is one message that I want to make sure I get across. The other thing in that is that like if you're picking one thing to talk about, it can also feel like at first, the reaction I get to that often is like, oh, how many ways can I talk about this? Like, there's only so many ways I can talk about this one thing. You will be amazed at how creative you get. You can have a specific position around, let's see, I'm trying to think of, Kara, your example that you mentioned about what were we saying, emotional trauma, right? This is not my area of expertise, so I might butcher this, so I do apologize in advance if I do. You could say something along the lines of, well, you could give like de-identified stories or anecdotes from your own life. That's a way that you can talk about the work that you do, and at the end, and say like, if this resonated with you, I happen to have blah blah blah. Insert the thing that you're selling there. um or your email list or whatever it is that you want, but it's all going to funnel towards one offer. You could also then, if there was a specific position that you wanted to take on a topic related to emotional trauma, like if there was some news article, for example, of like maybe some new research just came out, and you could say you could talk about that and agree with it and be like, oh, this supports, these healing modalities that I teach. You could also then, I don't know if this is the best example of it, but you could also then flip that and take the opposing view as like a just like a tension sort of, and I don't want to say clickbait because it's not clickbait, but your headline could be something that opposes this new research, and then in the article of, I'm assuming this is like a blog post or something, um, you could explain that like, no, you are actually, but you're posing a question at the beginning to drive interest. There's so many different ways you could talk about the same thing, and if you're able to give yourself the time to focus on one offer and one core problem, you can get really, really creative instead of jumping from one thing to the next and just staying at the surface. You can get really deep and get into um, really good topics to talk about. Is that helpful?
Um, yes.
Okay. I feel like I might have gone too far onto a tangent, but
Yeah, no, it's okay.
and it was also it's a little difficult for me to think about the emotional trauma side because that's not me. That's not my area of expertise. Um, Is there something that if like thinking about that as the core problem that you're solving, is there a topic that does come to mind that you would want to talk about from a messaging and marketing standpoint?
In a way, yes, and also in a way, it's like I kind of don't want to bring everybody that's, say, in the school group all into, well, maybe it doesn't apply to them. You know what I mean? So I think
No.
I'm overly getting into other people's heads of so one of the big things that I keep seeing is let's say it's dealing with people who are narcissists,
Okay.
who have a tendency to kind of just bring your energy down, and being
Mm-hmm.
able to help handle around that kind of energy and
Okay.
being able to self protect and all of those kind of things. There's a whole myriad of ways I can bring conversations around that,
Uh-huh.
but not everyone may necessarily identify with
Mm-hmm.
that. And I think in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't. There's a fear of messaging out around something and then having it not so not connect with people. Then they're like, well, why do we want to necessarily follow or pay attention in the group or whatever like that? I'm overly
Okay.
getting in others' heads about things.
Okay. I think I follow now. Thank you. When you said school group, I was thinking literal like your kid's school like
Yeah,
Facebook group or
no.
something. And they're like, oh,
S
school
SK, yeah.
SKOOL, like art, like
I know
school.
it's an often
Got it.
confusion. Yeah,
No, yeah, I'm with you now. But narcissism is a form of emotional trauma, right? And
absolutely. Yes.
if your core marketing message is emotional trauma, thinking like the umbrella, this is an umbrella. And you've got narcissism here as a little raindrop. You have all these other raindrops of sexual assault, like sexual abuse or like PTSD or complex PTSD. Like all of these things still fall underneath that umbrella. And you could just pick the topic of narcissism, and that's just your topic for the day. And you relate it back to emotional trauma, and then close with when you're ready, if this resonates, non-pushy call to action of like, and if, by the way, if this resonates, if you feel called to work on this together, here's the next step you can take. And then the next day or week, if you want to pick a topic per week, and like this week we're talking about narcissism. We're just doing a deeper dive this week. You can whatever I would in that case, I always defer to the business owner, so I would defer to you of like how often do you want to talk about all of these things? Like 1 week feels pretty good. A month can be too long for some things. Because like you said, then some people will be like, well, this isn't relevant for me. I'm checking out. All this girl talks about is narcissism, and I don't have any narcissists in my life,
Right.
hypothetical, and no one's going to do that. Also, sorry I called you girl. Um, Something I'm working on. We are women. We are not girls. Um, so yeah, I think that I could see that knowing your specific school group, I could totally see that working really well. Like this week's theme. Or you're like, you know what? Who Liz does that really well. Liz Fulcher, who's also in Grow Squad. Her aromatics group, she focuses on a specific aromatic. A week, like one week, I believe it was like roses, which was really interesting. Um, yeah, I don't do anything with the essential oils, so I don't, it doesn't stay in my brain. But sorry,
Yeah.
Liz.
No, and you're right because I think she actually was doing the whole month was roses.
Oh,
But
okay.
I hear what you're saying, and I love the ability to step back from it a bit
Hmm.
and not be okay. This is the thing we're going to throw down your throat every single day,
Yeah.
but just the more loose mention, the once a week or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I have been trying to create like a topic of the month and break it down into topics of the week.
Hmm.
But that can have more than one peg leg, you know.
What's the peg leg?
Oh,
I'm like, what does that mean? I'm like, I think I get you, but just we're
yeah.
moving into
So
pirate metaphors now.
we're still in our ships.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly. I love that.
yeah. So, well, if we're on a ship and we're having the different rooms, so there's one room that has toxic stuff and another room that has the other things. So we're having a focus of each day. If we're going
Mm,
down Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for when we're making posts, okay,
okay.
and then one post of that week could be about like the emotional trauma of things. But
Hmm.
that isn't the whole Monday through Friday. Yeah. Because I was having a different umbrella, and I guess
Okay.
maybe it probably is changing the umbrella a little bit,
Got
tweaking
it.
tweaking
Yes.
the umbrella.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does sound that way. So yeah, have one umbrella
not
for a
two
month,
umbrellas.
not two
Okay.
umbrellas if you can. I mean, you can add umbrellas later, but we gotta crawl before we walk, walk before we run, right? That's the goal of the focus is to like let's nail this, let's find out what's working, and then scale from there, or add more at that point. But at first, this is not about adding more. Um, the other thing that you can add, I want to say this just before it leaves my brain, is that like talking about emotional trauma can feel heavy if like that's like all you're talking about, right? But to add the positivity to it, you can always say, here's what it looks like when you get on the other side of that emotional trauma. Here's what it looks like, and give like that's when success stories could really come into play. That's when your own story can come into play, like where you're at now versus where you were 5 or 10 years ago, for example. Um, is like hypothetical, like I'm saying that generically for everybody. Um, where yeah, use pulling examples from your own life has just so much power, especially in this space when we're dealing as service providers for other individuals. Having those examples f make you more relatable and give you the authority of like, listen, I've gone through this. I know what this is about on a soul level, not just a I know about it level. So that can also be helpful. And yeah, focusing on the benefits of working through your emotional trauma as well will be a very positive spin because it isn't all gloom and doom. So awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate it. These are great questions and great examples. Okay. Now, let's see. Back to my notes. I went very off script. Do.
Oh, I had a question before we move on,
Yeah.
because I can't remember, and I think I didn't take well enough notes somewhere. Possibly,
Mhm.
you had where my tightening my leaks, and
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what the examples of my leaks looked like.
The leaks. Anything from like pricing leaks that we talked about yesterday?
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah, I
where
had a
you,
feeling it had to do with our triangle question mark star. What
yes,
was it, that spot? Mm-hmm.
yeah, and like where one of the examples I gave when like you kind of like stumble over like in the
Mm-hmm.
price like
Mm-hmm.
$5,000. Along like anything along those lines. Um, anything that is like those subtle things that just creep up on you that you're just like maybe like not that you can kind of gloss over the things that you're not paying attention to. That was a question from yesterday. Um, the things that you're pushing away because you don't want to acknowledge that they're there. Um,
Gotcha.
yep. Yep, those fantastic question. Yes. And so like all of this is gonna be helpful when it's gonna get more and more easy when we're repeating it. Like the more we talk about the emotional trauma, for example, in the myriad different ways that you can create content around that. Um, the more you talk about that, again, the deeper you're gonna like get and the more ideas you're gonna come up with. So I went to college. I like jokingly say that I don't math because I went to art school. Which is the art school. I did go to art school. My first 2 years was very much trade school to be like illustrator type person. Um, and in that class, there was one specific graphic design class that we were working on logos, and our assignment was to create 100 versions of one logo. I nearly fell out of my chair. I was like 100 versions of this one fucking thing. Are you shitting me? What? And like immediately I was like, there's no way I'm gonna come up with 100 ideas for this one stupid thing. I don't even remember what it was to be totally honest, but um I did. And it was insane. Like I like to this day I'm still amazed that like anytime I do a logo, I'm like, okay, now I get my like blank piece of paper out, 100 square boxes, and we just doodle. And you get rid of the most obvious answers immediately. Like your first 20 are probably garbage. And I'm talking about the logos. I'm not talking about your ideas. However, there is similarity there where like your first probably like 20 or so content ideas are probably going to be the things that you've seen everywhere else, are probably going to be the things that are the most obvious, the most surface level, which is not necessarily a bad thing in this case for content because people might be able to relate. But your content ideas that you are like at number 50, number 60, number 70, and whatever are going to be a hell of a lot more interesting, a hell of more dialed in, a hell of a lot more just more refined because your hooks are going to be better, your headlines, whatever your medium is, headlines, email, Instagram reel, hooks, all of that. It's all you're gonna like pick a medium and like it's gonna be buttoned up by the time you get through like 100. And I'm not necessarily saying make 100 posts, but in a month you'd be amazed at how many pieces of content you can create. Okay, so such a tangent. Again, this is tangent tastic today. So before I want us to make sure that we have boundaries around all of this, right? And so like for the next 30 days, I want to make sure that like I'm big on boundaries. You another fun phrase you'll probably get sick of hearing me say is boundaries are self-care. Boundaries are self-care. So before you say yes to anything over the next 30 days, I want you to ask, does this strengthen my stabilizer or does it distract from it? And we're getting rid of as many distractions as possible. This is like your new operating rule. If it does not support the core revenue driver, it is noise, even if it's exciting. And that is easier said than done, friends. Speaking from my own experience, is that I'm also, I don't know if you know anything about human design, but I am a generator. And I'm also, if you know anything about Enneagrams, I'm a seven, which is like the cheerleader of the group. And so, like, if I am tickled by something, man, my energy wants to follow it. And also, either a touch of the tism or the ADHD or both. And I am just like, let's go down this path. Oh my goodness, fun, 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 and productive. But is it always the best thing that we, me, should be focused on? Oftentimes, no. And so I have to follow this myself. I have to remind myself of it quite a bit. Okay. Integration reflection time. We're going to take a couple minutes to finish this sentence. My income will feel calmer in 30 days because I decided to blank. I will put that in the chat. My income will feel calmer in 30 days because I decided to insert your thing here. Decision reduces anxiety. Uncertainty creates it. So by choosing this direction and writing about it in the future, like as if, oh, you know what? I just realized I messed this exercise up. I'm so sorry. I wanted us to look at it from like it's already 30 days from now, and you have already done it. Okay, sorry. Scratch that, reverse it. Now that it's 30 days later, I am so glad that I decided to blank. That is how it should be. So sorry, friends. Now that it's 30 days later, I am so glad that I decided to blank. And the reason I want to do it that way, as if we're already in the future, is because that's what we're headed to. That's what we're headed towards. And when we think about it as in like we're writing it in the present tense, as if the future is already here, it is a lot easier for us to um, integrate it, to internalize it. That's the word I wanted. It is a lot easier for us to embody it. It is a lot easier for us to believe it and then become it because you cannot become something you do not believe. And so if you believe that you have already done this 30 days and you are so glad that you decided to blank because it was the change, you're gonna do the thing. Okay. And so just some underscoring words, some words to underscore what we talked about. Calm cash comes from truth, tightening, and repetition. Truth is what we talked about on the first day. I was like, what are we looking at? What is the information that we have to deal with? It's not some story that we created in our mind. It is what is on paper, where the money is coming from in this case. So that's the truth, right? And we don't know what the truth is. We can't make informed decisions. It comes from tightening, as we talked about yesterday, and then the messaging portion today at the top. Tightening where those leaks are, closing those up, and then the repetition, the things that we were talking about doing over the next 30 days. So day one was the truth. Day two, we were tightening leaks. Today, we were building the structure. So you don't need more effort. You just need more alignment, more focus, and restraint, and all those things. And I say that like it's super easy. It is not, but you can do it. Q&A time. We've got like 8 minutes left. So thank you so much for asking questions in between and doing the workshopy bits as we were going. Any other any other things that come to mind? Anything you want me to go over again? Anything unclear? Um, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, thank you. This was great. I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I loved that last little fill in the blank thing, which was really about bringing back that umbrella
Mm.
idea
Hmm.
of planning and
Hmm.
staying in my umbrella of content
Yeah.
and being grateful that I used that technique, kept to that technique
Yeah.
because it brought so much more sense of ease
Mm.
to what it is that I'm saying and doing versus past, slightly, possibly current version of what the heck am I grabbing at and doing each
Yeah.
time because
Grabbing
we're,
the umbrella.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Grabbing one umbrella.
Yeah, because before it was like, I don't know what umbrella. I've got 5 umbrellas here,
Yeah.
and which one are we using today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can focus on just the one, it'll simplify things a lot. It will probably also feel like there will probably also be anxiety around it or tension of like, but this umbrella. It's like, what if somebody wants to talk about this umbrella? And it's like I'm thinking of your school group. Um, like great, they can talk about all they want. Like today we're talking about we're talking about this. And it also might mean that you lose people. And that's okay. Not everybody's allowed on the boat. Not everybody has a seat on the boat.
Yeah.
And that's true of life too, is that like it's okay. We were talking this morning about friends. Sometimes friends are here for these are my words, not yours. The saying, the reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? So, um, that's true of clients. I underscore again, said it I think yesterday or the day before. Not all money is good money, and that's okay. And I'm not borrowing trouble and saying that people will leave your group or anything like that, but it's always a possibility. Um, they could come back, you know, like if that happens, like that happens. People come in and out of groups all the time. So, um, because that can I bring that up because that's a fear that people are like, well, what if people leave? Let them leave. That's okay.
Yeah, I think it's definitely good to bring the awareness around. I don't feel, I did say earlier that I was worried about, but I think it's all in the messaging of it. And you're right, thinking, thinking more intuitively, groundedly into the matter.
Hmm.
I know that the right people will be moving along with me
Yeah.
as they were meant to. And if
Hmm.
they're not meant to, then they were meant to fall away.
Yeah.
It's all fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and like in my case for Growth Squad specifically, um, we're day 3 of the Calm Cash Reset, right? Well, next month is going to be another topic. Do I know what it is? No, but it'll be something around generating revenue and your marketing and stuff like that. So I need to ease into the fact that no, I don't know exactly what it is right now, but I will probably by tomorrow. Like I just have to know and trust that like, you know, we have, and I'm going to include you in this, like that we have the expertise to figure it out and we've been there, right? And so like we'll know like what to talk about next, right? So the solutions will come to us. Yours is more intuitive. And like mine is too. I don't want to like eschew that. Eschew. I don't want to push that aside. Um I don't want to dismiss that. There is that, but like it also just comes from, the people that we've helped, and like, the actual expertise that we've built up. So it's okay to not know what sometimes tomorrow's topic is. I am always a fan of like mapping it out. But then I will change it and rearrange things. I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this today. So I'll take something that I planned for the 28th and move it to like the 15th or, you know, but at least like I have a treasure trove of ideas to pull from. Gonna go with the pirate theme now. Um, so
I brought that on.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, let's evolve the metaphor. Listen, there's only so many boat analogies. I don't know how to sail or ride a boat. I mean, drive a boat.
I don't think you do either.
What do you do? You don't drive a boat?
I don't know. Steer a
Captain a
ship. I
boat?
don't
Steer a
think, I
boat?
don't,
Steer a boat.
yeah.
I don't know. They've got
I
a
have
key.
family members who sail and quote unquote drive boats, but I'm pretty sure driving isn't the right word. But I
He's a
can't think
joke.
of.
And talk about driving the train. You don't drive a train. Anyways, a random. Wow, I haven't thought about that in forever. Um, Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your participation, and I'll see you in the group. What happened to my face there? Whoa, I disappeared. Even have this is a real background. I don't know why I did that. That's so funny. Oh my goodness. All right, never noticed that before. All right.
No, it was only right there at the end that it did that.
That's